always tough to watch a Hawaiian prodigy get KO'd, but I'm looking at this in a 50-50 situation, probably headed to grappling next, which means it's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is way easier from outside the cage, including on the mats, where Raph and I hang out. It's peaceful. No one's punching you most of the time. Frankly, Raph's got a huge head. But I'm your host, Kevin Phillips. With me, of course, the well-sized head for television, Raph Esparza.
How dare you?
You're worried Yair Rodriguez might suffer under a new presidential regime. Could you explain your joke, please?
Of course, because there's nothing funnier than explaining jokes, kids. All right, here we go. Here's the joke. R.I.P. Yair Rodriguez. It was nice knowing you in the UFC before Trump deported you.
Pretty good stuff. He's a notorious his Mexican fighter. He spoke in Spanish beforehand. I chuckled pretty hard when I saw that.
Listen, dude.
I'd say, hey.
Yair Rodriguez, after beating the living fuck out of BJ Penn, spent 9 minutes speaking in Spanish. 9 minutes.
A long time. Yeah. John Anik, you can see that flush of nervousness go across his face. He was like, he said he'd be real quick. It's like, they never mean that. They start talking. They don't know.
Goddamn Mexicans go on forever. Everybody knows that.
I just meant anyone talking in general to a microphone.
No. I know where you're going. Listen, check your white privilege at the door.
There's no way that's a stereotype.
Absolutely. It's like, this is how people think. They're just like, oh, these Mexicans, once you get them started, they're fucking Mexican jumping beans all over the place.
Up. They just get up there on the mic, talk for hours.
Like, I want to thank my family. I'll go cousin by cousin. So, Kev, why are we repeating this joke? Because obviously there's a reason we're talking about this particular joke.
Someone wrote,
I guess, to start off the show.
Someone wrote a comment underneath that I think is important.
What's the comment, Kevin?
It was, that's a stretch.
All right, cool.
I'm just going to take a quick second to remind people of the title of the podcast, Verbal Tap MMA Comedy Podcast. Jokes in themselves require two things, usually. Surprise or a form of shared experience. It's got to be somewhere in the two. So if you took most jokes, I would argue, are a stretch. Yeah, obviously Donald Trump's going to take one look at this guy and be like, it's a good one, because Dana White's his buddy, and that appears to be all you need in 2017. There's your collateral. But
listen, you wanna go ahead and argue the point that Trump's hanging around a lot of Mexican people? Really?
No, I do not.
You really want to argue? No. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying the general public of Trump being there and being like,
stretch.
Well, that's a stretch. All right, cool. But I really see Trump hanging out with a lot of people. Let's not forget, this is the same guy who also was like, celebrating Cinco de Mayo the only way I know how, with this Taco Bell giant fucking tostada. Love y'all. Great stuff. So anyway, when you put that's a stretch, and the person who put this is, I guess, quote unquote, a comedian unto themselves. Congratulations. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not like, this is a response that doesn't even need a response. It's just hilarious to look at when you're like, that's a stretch, and being like, dude, do you have audience members when you tell jokes, like raise their hand and go, whoa, buddy, that's going a little too far.
Well, Raph, I want to challenge our audience to go 5 stars. If you haven't left a review, please. That's a stretch. 5 stars. We'll know what you mean, and we love you. Because that would be funny.
Because here's the thing. I know that Donald Trump, even himself, if he heard that joke, would go, listen, there's a little hint of truth in that. But you know what? I love Mexican people. Wait. Nah, I won't deport that guy. He's great. I love him. He's great. But seriously, I'll deport somebody.
He fights with my feminine name friend Dana. I like him.
Oh, God. My feminine friend named Dana, yeah.
Bad news for the Prodigy. The Prodigy, they pitched them, and we were talking about Daniel Cormier was really enjoying watching BJ Penn get in the cage. He was painting a verbal picture that had a very Bob Ross vibe to it. It was like they were ping back and forth. That was great. He and Anik did a good job. I did enjoy I'm just sitting here enjoying a legend. He was so excited. Legend got knocked out hard, and they called those spinning kicks. They called them tricky kicks. It was like, I don't know how tricky they were so much as just harder than BJ Penn is able to withstand.
Well, they're fast. I mean,
Sure.
We can call
Fast,
a spade. They're
accurate,
very fast,
mean, spinning,
like most Mexicans are. Thank you.
hard.
It doesn't help that this dude was wearing a giant, like the biggest sombrero he could find in Arizona of all states. So anyway, listen, when I'm watching this fight and they're building up this whole thing, because mind you, this is supposed to be the fight that is happening right after the big NFL series of playoff games. This is where Conor McGregor a few years ago, it seems like forever ago, but this is where he jumped up on a cage and challenged Jose Aldo. Like, the ratings for these tend to be good because usually Fox is supposed to say something like, go to this other station, but, storms and all that other shit. So the Steelers play the Chiefs at a later time. So I don't know what the ratings are going to do tonight, but there's a reason why somebody like BJ Penn status, even if he's not exactly to us, the normals who watch every week, somebody who you're like, oh man, yeah, BJ Penn, oh man, he's going to have such a competitive fight. What happened was, he has that name recognition that most people would want to go see, even if they're laymen's. But for those of us who care about BJ Penn, we were all kind of like, yeah, he probably shouldn't be fighting anymore. What a warrior. What a legend. What a legend. A legend. And it's not that he's not, but it's like, I found that the more people who said legend, the more times, the more I think they started to believe, like, he's got a chance. Guys, let's talk it out here. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, the last couple BJ Penn fights did not look good. And they're like, oh, if he had a better camp and a better time. And I'm like, guys, I don't need to see it. He is a legend, but I don't need to. And this was worse than I had imagined. But I will say he did make it around.
Yes, he definitely did. That's about all he made it. He barely just crawled to the finish line of those 5
I don't know about
minutes.
that, Kev. That's a stretch. That's a little bit of a stretch.
That's true. I was using a pretty extraneous metaphor there. Thanks for keeping me in check. Here's what we know. Yair Rodriguez is damn good. He's damn good. I want to see that guy. This was a good fight for him. I don't know that BJ Penn had warranted perhaps someone of Yair's caliber. Last fight for BJ?
Well, let's hope so. But BJ also
right now he's in the presser being like, I got 6 more in me, bro. Set to go.
I have bad news for myself, which is I have to get off this podcast for a second.
We've got him straight now. Good. Oh, I'm glad the presser wrapped up. Ref, go fuck off. Ladies and gentlemen, former multi-weight title holder, now Yair Rodriguez defeatee from Hawaii, our favorite jiu-jitsu MMAer, BJ Penn. BJ, you feeling all right after the kick?
Oh my God. Ow. Yeah, no shit, I didn't. Hold on, bro. It's very hard. My head. I don't know where I am right now. But I can tell you 3 things, okay? 1, okay, that fight should have been let to go on even longer, bro, because I was coming back into it. He punched me so many times. I woke back up and was like, nah, bro, I'm good. Let's go again. Those, I would say, bro, I looked at Big John McCarthy and I was like, oh my God, listen, GSP has hit me harder than that. It's fine. I remember my name, I think, is BJ Penn, and it's fine. It's fine. I have perfect diction still, and it's good. I don't know where I am, but it's fine. And I think number 3 is, bro, I'm a legend. Never forget, okay? Come on.
I would never forget that, and I want to be super clear. But let me ask you, how do you feel
Ow.
I'm sorry.
Do you ever have a thing where your brain hurts because you got punched in it? But never mind, that wasn't a bad thing. I'm fine. I promise.
I dropped acid 2 weeks ago. I get it. Your head's going to thump after something traumatic. How do you feel like you stacked up against this division's, up and comer?
Let me tell you something. Yair Rodriguez, he's very fast. He's a Mexican. You have to expect that from them. Don't laugh. We're in Trump's America now. Listen, I know you check your white privilege at the door, and it's important for you to understand this. I know that you have a Mexican who does most of the heavy lifting on this show. Am I not right?
Okay, you made a speed and a heavy lifting reference. Let's make our point here.
Oh, my head. Ow. It's so hard. I can't believe I'm making so many metaphors that are so apt with being hit so hard. What was my original point again?
How do you feel like you're stacking up?
Oh, ow, I'm so old. But here's the thing. I'm still a legend. Never forget that. So, yeah, I think I've got like 9 more fights left in me. I think I'm going to make, this is just a minor setback. I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a good run in the division, whatever division it is. Don't forget, I was like a 2-time division champion in like different weight classes. So I think I'll go down to like the women's bantamweight. I think I'll try that one next.
So it does sound...
ow.
Sorry. It does sound like you're going to try and keep fighting.
Bro, he might try and put some blocks on me, but you know what? It's fine. I'll get around it. The hard part is that it's like I look at Dana and I go, Dana, come on, bro. Like, we've got a thing, bro. Let me do it. Let me bang, bro.
You have banged, bro. And I just want to thank you for what's been a storied career. Can't wait to see you take on some more grappling matches. BJ, do you have something you'd like to say to the Verbal Tab crew that was cheering for you tonight, by the way?
Well, one, I saw your meme, which I guess was very funny, at least as someone explained to me. It said, it was from The Simpsons, and it said, all right, kids, let's never speak of that BJ Penn fight again. And I agree with that. I have to say it's very accurate because I've already forgotten about it. I got punched in the head, and it's not there anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, I didn't lose that fight.
That's great, champ.
What fight? I never had a fight today.
I don't remember. All I had was you as an interview. BJ Penn, thanks for swinging by the podcast this evening. Verbal Tap fans.
What am I even doing here? All right, bro. Bye, bro.
Surf time for the old and young at heart, BJ Penn. We're going to bring Raph back. But wow, BJ sounds, mostly in good spirits after getting kicked in the head so hard he fell unconscious.
Well, I think that's rude. I don't think we need to say he fell unconscious. I think he got knocked unconscious. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to put, however we were doing it, I was just stating it gently. That was my.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so for those of you who are figuring out what's going on, I had to spend time with my family tonight, so I didn't get to watch everything in sequence. I know what happens. For example, we're going to talk about a really cool Ezekiel in just a second. But I want to let you guys know that in the background, I am going to watch the Joe Lauzon Marcin Held fight, which I already understand Joe Lauzon is like, hey, man, I just want to say I didn't deserve to win this fight, which bold. And apparently he was booed even for that. And, if you've ever watched a Joe Lauzon fight, which if you're listening to this show and you haven't, then stop listening and go watch one. It's always exciting. So I feel like I don't know what I'm about to see. Kevin has already prefaced me with what he believes. But I'm going to put that on in the background, and I will chime in. But first, as I press play, let's go ahead and talk about it, Ezekiel, Kevin.
Yeah, okay. I need the people to understand how difficult an Ezekiel choke, which is designed for the jiu-jitsu gi traditionally. You take your right hand, you go over the back of someone's neck, you grab your left arm sleeve, you put your wrist in the neck and you choke them all about.
No, it's not. It's not the hokey pokey. The whole time I'm like, no, Kev, it's not in a hokey pokey.
I was just trying to come up with a fun mnemonic way for people to remember how to Ezekiel the fuck out of someone if they're 0 to 60 here, Raph. Anyway, grab that left wrist, slide that other hand in the neck, and you are now like you've got your forearm behind their neck, and you've got your other wrist forearm in front, and you squeeze together.
And let's put it this way. Kevin
choke
is describing it pretty well, but like Kevin has tried to attack me with this multiple times. He has tried to use this move multiple times. It is in Kevin's arsenal. He understands it. He's not bad at it, but it's a difficult move to pull off and have high amounts of success with. Is that not an accurate statement?
Very accurate statement. Difficult in the gi when you have sleeves and a jacket on.
Yes.
More difficult no gi with MMA gloves on. Significantly more difficult. Really fucking hard to do from if you're on top of someone and you're mounted them, meaning your legs have control of their hips. Still very difficult to sink in an Ezekiel no-gi. This mofo did it from the bottom, being mounted and punched.
Right.
Sneaks in a from the mount from the mount
underneath
Ezekiel.
The mount, yeah, underneath from a bottom position of being mounted, does what Kevin had just described of getting the right like Ezekiel position,
grabs his own
while
forearm,
being mounted. Yep.
Puts it in the rear naked choke crux of the elbow, and just locks that fucker up. Now, I don't know about his opponent's grappling prowess. I know he's in the UFC, so he doesn't suck. He knows what it is. He knows how to do it.
Okay.
Pretty sneaky on the setup, but I am going to call avoidable. I'm going to call anytime you get Ezekiel'd from mount, you're in mount. Anytime you get, I'm going to call fault on the top guy here.
Okay.
That's bad grappling. I never saw him jolt up. Like, I never saw him try and go up.
Somebody asked, they were like, is he claustrophobic? And possible. I think what happens
we've all
is,
been there. We're all claustrophobic.
Yeah, dude, listen, we've all had a claustrophobic happen, or at least once or twice in our grappling careers. I felt that this was a unique perspective of somebody who, when watching this, asked a very competent question to say, like, maybe it was claustrophobic. I think what happened was this. I think dude was probably in mount and was getting some punches in and was like, yo, I got to mount, so I'm going to chill here and just kind of do one of those, like, those rabbit punches where I just kind of score points. Dude on bottom was like, you know what, I'm going to try this Ezekiel and just see if this guy will fucking respect it. Guy on top is like, okay, cool. I forget I have legs that can maybe help me move. Nope, I'm stuck here. Okay, maybe I should do something, and it's too late. Now it's choking me. And I think maybe we can say, you know, I don't know if claustrophobic is it, but definitely freaked out to the point where he's just like, all right, I'm going to tap because I'm going to die. Now, Kevin and I were talking about this off air. I know a couple people who do this. David Mitchell has talked about how you can do it from the bottom. And I've seen plenty of people do it from in guard or even from side. And I was mostly pissed because they showed off something that I had workshopped, and I was like, oh, Kevin might actually be susceptible to this. And then they show it to Kevin. And not only do they show it to Kevin, but they make it seem like it's amazingly statistically possible from on bottom. And I'm like, well, that's just not going to happen for me. It's good to throw up, but I think, as Kevin may be alluding to, most high-level grapplers would just be like, so I'm just going to move.
I'm going to post my knees here and extend my neck away from you, and I'm curious to see how you keep me here. That would have been my...
But we're still talking about it from the grappling context. We're still not even talking about from the, like, I punch and kick you. Like, the punching is where I think I got most confused. So, you know, it was a strange occurrence. I think we'll see a ton of those, but you know that everybody in the MMA community, when they're just like, well, that's some fucked up shit. And did I say, yeah, I think David Mitchell himself also was super pissed because he's like, well, here I thought I created a move that would change the world, and then some idiot's doing it. So, Dave, if you're listening to this, sorry, dude. I mean, it's you had the same reaction my buddies who do that move, even from being mounted, do. And they throw it up sometimes even knowing, like, dude, you know what? I want to see how I can do stuff with this. So yeah, I feel it's a move that people have in their arsenal, and sometimes you can sneak it through, and but again, having the reason I bring up the Kevin example is because I'm like, Kevin's pretty okay. I mean, he's terrible, but he's my level of terrible. And for him to have mount on me for about a good 4 minutes and still trying to do that move and no success is like, that's where he has all the advantages. He's literally on mount on me and he's still trying to finish it. And I'm like, for the most part, I'll be all right. But then reverse that and think like, oh, if I'm on bottom and I'm like, you know what, fuck Kevin, I'm going to get this move. Probably not happening. And then Kevin would probably be like, so I just kind of extend up and yep, I lost it. All right, well, shit.
It would, without question, need to have an element of surprise, though. Lord knows. I'm sure.
But even if there is an element of surprise, Kev, I'm still at least willing to concede. Like at a certain point, you just kind of go, yeah, maybe if I try and move a little bit, I'll get out of this.
Should I move my neck away from his? Maybe I should. Maybe I should like see if my body can move away from his, since his is attached to the fucking floor and mine has nothing behind it.
How dare you? You don't know that. I would say this. This is so I just saw round one. Joe Lauzon looked pretty good, especially at the very beginning of that fight.
Who wins that
Marcin
round,
Held,
Who wins that round?
That's a tough one. I feel like Joe Lauzon did more work, though Marcin Held made it way more competitive toward the second half of them. If I'm just saying some stuff.
I completely agree with everything you just said.
All right,
but
second round.
Almost knocks him out. Really close in that first round.
Ooh, Marcin Held with this really fucking sweet ass fucking spinning roundhouse kick. This is a great way to start off. All right, so I'm at 440 of the second round. We're counting down. And, it's fun. I mean, now we got Joe Lauzon, who grabbed this guillotine. Marcin Held's kind of doing some wrestling, secures a pass to side, which against somebody as lanky as fucking Joe Lauzon is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Gets over into half, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my mutedness on this. But so far, I mean, I'm enjoying the fight.
Yeah, and Marcin's got some grappling skills, doesn't he? Like, that guy's fucking quick.
Don't forget, dude, that's the guy.
That's the guy what?
That's the guy who grappled with Gary. He's a leg lock specialist unto himself. And right now he has Joe Lauzon's back, which, again, Joe Lauzon is a fucking great grappler unto himself. So if you can put a great grappler like him in danger, you're not so bad yourself.
Right. And a ripped youngin who took his first fight at 16, I found out during the broadcast. It was like, fuck you.
I'm so tired of those
Polish
kids and their
asshole
stories.
Or whatever you are.
Listen, dude, here in 16, you know what happens? You're supposed to drive a car. That's about it. That's the most significant thing. Maybe you go to the winter prom, but those are the two fucking things you do.
Chase some girls. Have a disappointing JV basketball season. You know? Achieve. All I'm saying.
A little too real there, Kev?
I'm just throwing out. I thought we were.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a little too close for home for you. I was a little confused there.
I feel fine with Coach O'Neill's decision. I don't think he was rushing the gun with some other people.
I do feel somewhat bad for you because I feel like you're tall enough where you have to be good at basketball.
Yeah, I was a point guard. I was good. I was good enough.
Sure. Okay.
We are in the middle of what is the beginning of the UFC schedule. And this one, by the way, I'm actually going to give them some credit, but why do they go counter to the playoffs? Because I didn't tune it in until the Lauzon fight because, the Chiefs were playing.
Because first of all, I don't think they took into consideration weather was going to knock it out. But even when the Chiefs football game did end, the fight between BJ Penn and Yair Rodriguez didn't go on until pretty significantly after, almost 45 minutes after the conclusion of the playoff game. But the idea is they want maximum exposure. And if I recall, I remember that Conor McGregor thing, it did huge numbers. I remember when he jumped up on the cage, he pointed over, and he still wasn't quite the force that he was just yet. He was building, and I think I remember that put him over just in terms of a regular layman's person's perspective. We may have known who he was and thought he was impressive and he was building a career, but he had the exposure of 3 million people who saw this weird little Irish dude jumping up on a cage, jumping over it, and then pointing like a madman at Jose Aldo. And then people were like, I like that guy.
Who is
and
that?
Thus he became it.
Yeah, that's why so many Patriots fans enjoy him. By the way, Alexei Olenek, whom performed the out of nowhere Ezekiel on Vitor Pesta, was the only submission of the Fox Sports 1 prelims.
I believe that. And speaking of submission, man, with 1 minute left to go in the second round, I love the way Lauzon goes for these arm bars. Right. And much respect even to Marcin Held, who's not even batting an eye at it. Just gets out of it very easily, gets back into guard. Like, I love when I see people do that transition in the arm bar where they're just like, they still have it and they're able to take those 4 or 5 different ways of doing it from guard. It's like the way that they tell you to do the warm-up drill in class where, like, everybody drill 30 arm bars from guard. Mm-hmm. And you'll see people and you go, this will never work for me. And then you see, like, 12 other people do it and you go, well, listen, it's not a show-off. Nobody needs to be a hero here.
I guess I could give it a try. And I guess after the end of the second round, I was like, I thought Marcin Held kind of won that round. I thought he was in control of the fight.
Yeah.
I thought he
it sucks because
the top game.
On the top game, sure. It's a little more muted of one, I would think, just in terms of,
doesn't
let's
do much,
say.
Right? Like, he's there. It's just no one's ever almost losing the fight.
But then let's also be real. Like, Joe Lauzon is, making some good strides on the grappling. I think, especially toward the end, he was trying to make that statement. But grappling's always that weird X factor. You don't know how the judges score that. So, that armbar that he was setting up, I was like, that's pretty good. Marcin's probably not going to get caught by it, but let's
I
still
agree.
call
I
that
thought
pretty
the
good.
armbar he tried in the guillotine were an interesting. I was like, okay, well he's not getting his ass kicked in this fight.
Yeah, the guillotine was a little less for me, but that armbar was just kind of like, Marcin did all the right things to get out of it, but it still had a little bit of bend to it. So, all right, I could see that a little bit more.
A fair
all right.
argument that you're not guillotining Marcin Held. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, listen, I don't think I'm guillotining
not happening.
Most people. All right, so now we're seeing here.
Marcin Held isn't most people, fortunately, either. And
let's also talk about this right now. So I'm in the third round, 30 seconds into it. There's an exchange between the two. It looks like Marcin's coming out strong in this third round, so I'll go there with him. I'll see that. But it's not like Joe's like not responding. I think Joe understands he's probably getting the best of him. I do wonder this because you never know what's quite inside of a fighter's mind. And a lot of them play the poker game. I'm not going to name names, Bisping, where they don't reveal their full hand. Like, Bisping's never admitted he's lost a fight that he didn't actually win. Though a couple of us have seen some fights where we're like, I don't know about that one. So I do wonder with Joe Lauzon if he's, that's a nice pop that he just did right there. I think that was with his right hand. Part of me wonders with Joe Lauzon, maybe he feels like he loses those first exchanges in that like 30 seconds, comes back, does a great performance, and it like still gets caught up in that. So when they interview him after, he's just like, yeah, I fucking lost that. Like I wonder how much that weighs into that overall sort of response that you have just when they interview seconds after the match.
And I think what you're alluding to is that perhaps his post-fight feelings don't match what we're seeing. We'll also throw some shout-outs. Ben Saunders from Tough way back, 16. Maybe. It was like the first Tough I ever watched was Ben Saunders was on it. A long time ago.
Wow.
Wins via decision over Court McGee, but that's a good win.
Yep.
McGee's no slouch. Sergio Pettis fighting on a brotherless card. Is able to secure the decision.
He looks sharp. I liked watching his fight. I was happy for him. It was good.
I was busy watching Alex.
I know your Chiefs. Yeah, I know.
Hill again.
Listen, Kev, your Chiefs have they're out, but they went out valiantly, and by valiantly I mean like It could have been better.
Could have been better. They weren't that great a team. They just didn't have much of an offense. And that's going to catch up to you eventually.
Sure, and you won like a baseball thing a while back ago, so you're good.
Right. Who could ask for more? We've also, I'll scroll through these. Drakkar Close defeats Devin Powell. Yeah, not a real name.
No.
And Tanquinho wins via decision. Mr.
Yes.
Esparza. We get a jiu-jitsu winner here.
About time.
Mendez. We already talked about Alexi. But Tony Martin beats Alex White in the most standard American name bout. So that's pretty good. How you feeling about the match you're watching? Are you seeing a one-sided beatdown?
No, I mean, I'm seeing a pretty even contest that I could kind of see. I could make some, like, I mean, let's put it this way. I've got a minute 15 left in this fight. I've seen Marcin Held push the action right now. I mean, it looks like Lauzon is trying to make a statement between the two. Marcin's doing some great counterpunching, goes in for a takedown, gets it. Maybe this is where he feels a little bit underneath. But this is where I think Joe's trying to, like, at least work from guard, which he's very active from his guard. I think maybe he's worried about this pass that's happening where he then puts him back into guard. So, like, a lot of it's got a weird middle ground of, like, yeah, dude, it's close, but I don't know how bad you have to feel about what you did.
I think
he took you down, and he's not really doing much to, like, pepper the shots.
As you round third, I'll give a shout out to the UFC Fight Pass prelims we haven't seen, or I haven't seen.
Sure, go on.
Ansaroff submits Jones Lebarger. Walt Harris KOs Chase Sherman. Joachim Christensen TKOs Bojan Mihovic. This fight had some very serious. This fight had a lot of immigrants. Dmitry Samolikivyov gets TKO'd by Cyril Asker. And Raf.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that name one more time.
Cyril Asker.
Asker, I hardly know her.
As you slide into home.
All right, we're done here. So, listen, I get this. I understand. I could totally make the case that Marcin Held won that fight, and I'm okay with that. I would also basically venture to say, he won that with a lot of takedowns, which cool. I think that's the big difference between the two. I thought in exchanges, Joe looked fine. I'm pretty sure that Joe is speaking from the heart when he says, he basically neutralized him better. If I'm taking a guess, I'm not even at the speech yet. So I'm vaguely ready to pay attention to that, but I'm not going to lose sleep over this one. I'm not going to stake my claim, and I want to see the reaction. So now I'm at the judge's decision. Oh yeah, the shaking of head of nah, and Marcin's like holding his head. All right, you say some words. I'm going to hear this so that we don't get sued for copyright as I mute my mic.
What he's listening to is Lauzon then go into a pretty serious tirade about how he won the fights. And we're starting to get into our ending coverage here of UFC Fight Night, but Lauzon came up and said 100% I lost that fight. Here's what I'm going to pose to Raf as he comes back, and what I think the fight ultimately boils down to. Who came closest to winning it? I think that was Lauzon. I think the closest person to ending this fight was Lauzon in the first round with elbow strikes that put a real shot on Held, and I think stuck in the judge's memory. And, when you see somebody almost get knocked out, you start thinking, well, maybe they're grappling and trying to do these takedowns because they don't want to exchange. They're hurt. They don't want to be a part of it. And that'll shape your thinking. I don't understand why Lauzon would come out so fervently to say,
right.
What? 100%. I lost that fight. It's like, no, not 100%. You might have lost that fight. You didn't crazy win that fight. Raf, your thoughts.
My feel is pretty on point of what I was posing before. So I had kind of proposed the idea that I was like, you know what, he's gonna feel like he lost those takedowns, and that because he couldn't implement anything, he should lose the fight in his brain, which I think some people would actually very much agree to. I got texts on the way that I'm part of a chain of people who talk about UFC fights every once in a while, and the worst is if they're watching the fights and I'm not, so I have to play a little bit of catch up. So I get here and I go, all right, let's see how this fight goes. And they're like, oh, those takedowns are the difference. And I'm like, I can understand how that works. But for Joe Lauzon to just be like, 100% disagree. And it's like, okay, dude, a really upstanding thing. Totally cool. You feel because he neutralized you, that negates maybe some shots you took. I need to take a look at the stats, so I may call those up in a second. But yeah, it's really not going to lose a ton of sleep. Classy, I guess. Necessary? You know. Let's see. Joe Lauzon.
But he sure did.
And I want to point this out to people. I've never spelled his name right. So if you ever see me tweet out his name and I don't spell it right, listen. Come on.
You try and spell it when it matters.
Fight Measure. Yeah, I mean, I don't listen. If I tag him on something, maybe.
I'm staring at it right now, so I won't fuck it up. But
let me see. Okay.
Go ahead.
I've got a win here. All right. Here are some significant strikes to go over. All right. I've got Joe Lauzon in the red, Marcin Held in the blue. Okay. Significant strikes per round. Here's where I think it's going to get a little weary for people. In round 1, they had 15 of 33. Okay?
Okay.
15 of 33 to 6 of 27 for Joe Lauzon. In round 2, Joe Lauzon had 0 significant strikes to 2 out of 10 for Marcin Held, which is a great thing to be like, how many significant strikes did you have in that round? Oh, none.
None at all.
Really? Yeah, I didn't hit. No, not at all. Round 3, Joe Lauzon had 5 out of 23 to 15 out of 41 for Marcin Held. So okay, all right, we can make the thing. Maybe it's that first round that speaks a little bit more on Joe's mind, where he's like, all right, I won round 1 pretty easily. 2 and 3, maybe he's thinking went over to Marcin Held and that he just doesn't feel good. But like, let's be very clear about something. 0 to 2 in a significant strike off is, I mean, we're not talking like 100 to 0.
Wasn't a big difference.
I mean, and even 5 to 15 is like, all right, I guess you could make the argument that Marcin Held had the better of him on the striking in the 3rd round. And yeah, he was probably getting the takedown. So I guess statistically you can make a great argument. But I don't care. I just, whatever.
I don't feel strongly, and I'll tell you who doesn't feel strongly either. Joe Lauzon's win bonus. That thing feels great about the decision. And he should stop and focus on what's important, that he fights for money. I'm just going to throw that out there. Raph.
Yeah.
Would you like to put any proclamations, any endpoints on the UFC Fight Night, Rodriguez versus Penn?
No. Ezekiel. That's probably what we're going to talk about, because I think we're all going to selectively forget BJ fought on this one.
And it's going to feel good for all of us when we do. Can't wait to see him in grappling.
Yeah.
Raph, a topic we have not given the justice it deserves, but I'm actually going to give him some props. I've been impressed by his exit from the UFC. I'm talking about Mike Goldberg. What is going on with the Goldie series? We don't know. We don't know where he's headed next. The man's got options. He's got some credentials. He obviously was good at his job. He wasn't Bob Costas.
I mean, he showed up at his job.
He
missed like 1 UFC, I think, in that time.
Bowed out very gracefully. Also, he hasn't sold them out. He hasn't given any, I don't know what the non-disclosure clause he signed or the money given. But out on the outs, I've been impressed by how it's gone. I am definitely not wanting Jim Rome to replace him. I'll tell you that right now.
That's the word on the street.
That guy's an asshole. I'm not your friend kind of an asshole. Like a goatee, way too late sort of an asshole.
I will say, like, I don't mind Jim Rome. I find that if he exists in his own realm, he's fine. I've listened to his show. I get what he does. He's definitely the right person for AM radio, who's just kind of like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and say something that I feel. And you assholes, you can chime in. You guys can come off for the smack off. And we're just going to talk about it. I'm going to use my bro voice. Fine. How much I think he's learned about MMA, like he's talked with Chael. He has been one of those people who has been very, encouraging by just the amount of people he's talked to. That's always great, especially when not a lot of people were doing that at the very beginning of MMA. So, okay, we can give him that. I just feel it's a different skill set. And when Dana White says he's got this dream team in mind of 2 people, I hope he doesn't mean him. But yet there are people who are reporting it like it's fact and fake news, whatever. I get it. But they're trying to say that he's the guy. So I hope he's not. But let's not pass over the fact that there was something dirty that happened to Mike Goldberg. And we felt it was dirty, but we couldn't prove it. But then we got one little sliver of something, because part of me was thinking, I was like, maybe Goldie's just modest enough where he'd say, I don't need a big send-off. I don't need anything major. And then his son, and I think his wife, responded. And they were like, my dad worked for you for 20 years, and you couldn't give him a video package or a send-off, which then makes me think maybe it wasn't the nicest of firings.
Yeah.
And that bummed me out.
Going on there.
And let's be honest, guys. I mean, was Goldie like the best person in the world at doing all of this? No. But he was passionate. He loved it. He was easy for us to mock. So that was great. We appreciated that. Especially, you know what I mean? Like, I remember back in like 2006 when people would be like, oh, he's terrible. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I remember joking once. I was like, I think the only reason he still has a job is because he gets paid to essentially say the phrase, and it's all over. And I thought it was like, yeah, I think he's just there to kind of walk us through the ins and outs. But, I mean, the hard part was when people started saying they're like, I want to see him replaced. I'm like, he's just kind of there. So, yeah, we could be in a new era, and it could be somebody fascinatingly great. But I'm nervous about who they're thinking. And I think it's important to voice that because, as we heard tonight, and Kevin's being nice to Anik and Daniel Cormier, but Daniel Cormier, I think at one point with the Yair Rodriguez, was saying something to the effect of, my wife caught this as well, like she actually stopped in the middle of watching it and just goes, Daniel Cormier, he goes, you know, now that people are really starting to listen to Yair because he's now starting to learn more English. They're really getting a better understanding of who he is. And it was like, oh, God. Really? This is the commentary we're getting? Like, maybe you would just watch him in a fucking fight and you'd get a better impression of who he is. Yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure that dude's winning us over with his English-speaking skills. That's the one thing everybody's going to take away from tonight. They're going to be like, ooh, forget his speed. Forget his domination of BJ Penn. Look at his fucking sexual use of the English language. Ugh.
It's almost like they weren't listening at all, and all they saw was that scruffy beard. And that's our point. Goldberg could have done that. Like, come on, guys. Let's think about it. But Bellator is in for a great new announcer. Can't wait. I'm sure he's going to sign for more money. That's my guess.
I have a request, which is this. I would love somebody who's enthusiastic about the fight world, but I want a broadcaster. It's kind of my same rule with the Oscars where, you know, when they say like, oh, Hugh Jackman's going to host the Oscars, I'm like, I don't care. And they're like, why? I was like, because I want a comedian to do it. And they're like, why? And I go, because comedians work right off the cuff. It's the same thing with broadcasters and sports like this, because a lot of times everybody's trying to prove that they're a fight genius. Like Joe Rogan is the best at doing it. And there's a reason for it, is because he doesn't have to compete with somebody else the whole time to say, I know this more than you. I know this more than you. And when it becomes this weird contest of who knows more, I don't feel it really gives you an enhanced experience. I thought that's part of the reason why him and Goldie work is because Joe would famously say, is like, do you guys really think Goldie's that dumb? Like, he asked the questions to set me up. So whoever it is, I just want them to be a good broadcaster, because I'll tell you something. If Joe Rogan is left to do the station IDs, it's just not going to happen. He's not going to be the one to say, like, hey, welcome to tuning in to UFC on Fox. Fuck these guys. I don't know, smoke weed every day. Joe Rogan podcast. All night. Day, train by day. All night, all day. Every day.
That's funny. We have great news in the Ultimate Fighter front.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt, current champion of the 145ers. Yeah, that's it. Hold on. Yeah, we're good. Is coaching the Ultimate Fighter alongside TJ Dillashaw from Elevation Fight Team here in Denver, Colorado. Raph, I'm excited about that. I'll watch. I'm going to watch this one. I'm in.
Are you?
I am. I'm trying. I'm going to talk. I've got some. I'm definitely going to make the point that I'm watching and hope that words turn into action.
You do know, I was thinking about this when I got home from driving back from my dad's today. I start walking up the stairs to my place, and I go, why? You know, we say this every fucking time with the Ultimate Fighter. It's like, they fixed it. We're going to watch. We promise. It's better. And really what it means is it's good enough to watch for 3 episodes and then tell me who wins.
We'll
so
see.
I do wonder if that's the case, because here's my biggest issue with these two people in particular. It's not like a Dominic Cruz where you're going to have a war of words that's going to be super memorable. You're going to have two people with kind of fiery-ish tempers who are probably going to, if I'm guessing, and I don't know anything, guys. I don't think they filmed anything. Maybe they have. I don't know. But I think they're going to like get over on each other in a fight over like hair product. Like something, the most inane thing that you can think of, they're going to manufacture some nonsensical drama where they're going to be like, dude, I can't believe you use crew. Everybody knows I'm a pomade man, and I'm going to be a Dapper Dan for life. I'm like, oh, God, are they going to fight about the dumbest thing ever? All right. Anyway, that's my prediction.
Well, I couldn't agree more with you. Obviously, there's definitely going to be a hair fight up in this bitch. And I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I think that's probably going to be good for whoever's sponsoring it, whether that's, Dove. They've got a whole new men's product. There's a lot that could be in charge of it. I'm excited to see. They always like bring in a new crop of fighters. It'll be fun to see how they do that part. And that'll be the interesting.
Oh, yeah. I always hope we get the good exposure for those people. So, true.
And you never know. Maybe one of us will watch it enough to be inspired to do a little The Ultimate Fighter review just for the casual fans.
Well, listen,
it's a
that
big
shit's too much
see.
work. We'll see. We'll see.
It's obviously a huge we'll see, but I like to stay positive.
You
know how I feel about this.
Fair.
And, I mean, I think that's going to do it for us tonight here at Some Verbal Tap. We'll get into some shout-outs because the first shout-out has to go to me asking you about this effing seminar you went to. Would you like to elaborate on who you got some very good training from?
Sure. You guys may have heard of these guys. They're okay. They're okay what they do. They're two brothers. Their last name is Hayden. One is named Josh. One is named Jason. My favorite thing, so I did an interview with them after it was all said and done. And by the way, we did the interview at like 3 a.m. And we still had people tune in. So that's a true credit to how much you guys love the Hayden brothers. But yeah, like at one point I looked at them and they were messing with me at the very beginning, and they go, I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I asked this to Jason, and Jason goes, "My name's Josh." And I go, "Josh, what's your name?" And he goes, "My name's Jason." And somebody on the comment section goes, "Wow, that interview really didn't know the difference between who those two people were." Good work. You were bamboozled, my friend. We
Once
got
again, I really do applaud the fact-checking police for the.
I'm sorry, Kev.
That's a
I'm
stretch.
so sorry. I did
It's
not. That's a stretch. It's a stretch.
It's a stretch, rap.
So, no, the brothers, first of all, they came down to do a fantastic seminar. They did a little bit of their 80-20 system that I've been kind of drilling and working on. But not only did they do the 80-20 system, they also were showing us some of the new stuff that they're working on, which is so fucking awesome. And then they offered to roll with everybody who was there, which I thought was badass. So they're like, yeah, we're going to roll until we roll with everybody who wants to roll with us. And when they did, it was so fucking cool. And Kev, it's about as rough as you think it would be.
Okay, good. Because
it was
seem, tough.
It was woo. I don't know, man. I felt like the whole time I'm rolling with them, I was just like, okay. And I have to say this because this is huge news. So I was rolling with somebody, and I think Josh took off a round. And before he rolled with me, he was watching somebody roll with me who was giving me some trouble, and he was just taking notes. I think this is unfair.
I couldn't agree more, by the way.
It was like figuring out all my weaknesses in a way that I was like, wait, no, you're like, I'm already bad. I don't need you to do more research. That just helps someone like you who knows what to do even more. So I'll be damned. Literally the second Josh is starting to roll with me, he is implementing and trying to replicate what the guy was doing. And I was just like, no, this is fucking murder. You're committing a murder. I'd like to report a murder.
Not cool, Florida guy. Not cool.
So Josh was there, and then Jason also, is just terrible beast. So imagine being like, all right, I'll take the big one, and then like the little one happens next, and you go, like, they're just so fucking good. So they had some great rolls. I can't recommend them enough. They're apparently doing like 20 more cities, I think, on a seminar tour. So you guys are going to want to keep a lookout for that because they're looking to go around to your town. I know they're going to like Dallas pretty soon. They have a few more that are kind of in the works. I think Louisiana, different places like that. So keep an eye and ear out for them. And if you do want a seminar with them, get in contact with them. You can hit up Josh Hayden and Jason Hayden on Instagram, on Facebook, all that sort of stuff. So I know they're starting to make the rounds and try and spread it. And everybody who took their seminar was so happy. And that is something I really pride ourselves on. So we're already looking at some other new seminars that we're going to do over at the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, but I want to clue you guys into that. If you are not in the Los Angeles area and you are looking for having the Hayden brothers come to visit you, get in contact with them. You will not regret their seminar experience. So, yeah, I guess that'll thrust me into some more shout-outs. And I also want to thank Jason and Josh for being fucking champions. And not only doing that, but then after eating, coming back to do a podcast with me because we did it till all ends of the night. And we did an hour show. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, go look at it on our Facebook page. It is a really fun interview. Those guys are so funny. And we get some good insight to that. And I want to thank everybody who came. Thank you guys so much. So many great people. And it was great catching up with so many of you guys. Let's talk about Valley Martial Arts Center.
Be back.
Great training out there this week. Got to hang with my buddy Hassan, get him to give me some good instruction this week. And, always good training there. I'm looking forward to getting back there sometime this week. Maybe tomorrow night. We'll see where I'm at. And then let's go ahead and shout out. Let's shout out the guys, Eric and Joey. Great stuff as always at the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club. But Let's also shout out our friends. Octavio went to go compete today at Grappling X tournament, did really great stuff. And my buddy Drew, I believe, took second in his division to another 10th Planet Killer. But Drew Murillo, he is a fucking beast. If you guys are looking for great private seminars who can help you elevate your leg lock game, you're going to want to get in touch with Drew Murillo. He is awesome. And I just saw a clip of him hitting a toe that was nasty. And I also want to thank the guys at the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club. They opened up the place for me and my cousin Marty to train this week. So it was great to see my cousin Marty. Cavi says to give you his best as well.
Marty.
And we had some great training, dude. Just really, really good stuff. So I want to shout out those folks. And before I forget, I also want to go ahead and shout out like Cole Franson, who came through for the seminar. Everybody who helped put it together. It was a mad fucking crazy weekend, but it all came together, and it was it's one that we won't forget anytime soon. So keep on the lookout for more seminars coming through from the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club. We will announce them on here. And if you guys are looking for a place to compete, I believe it is February 11th. Is it 11th or 18th? No, I think it's the 18th. They're doing another whiteout tournament at Valley Martial Arts Center. You guys, to find out more about that, you can go to valleymac.com. If you guys have some white belts that you know want to get in a good tournament experience, we pride ourselves on the ability to get in and get out in a short amount of time, but have a good competitive experience. So that is another whiteout competition. So for white belts, or you know some, or you have some that you basically instruct, or you are one, do it. It was fun.
There you go. And you're not wrong. There's also a fight on February 11th. The Fight to Win tournament is here in Colorado. So
nice.
I just like to jump on the side. Are you all set? Are you?
I mean, I'll also shout out Joey. I know I shouted him out earlier, but he was a guest on my talk show early late night. And we had a good time. A lot of you guys tuned in. Thank you guys so much for that. But we're going to be doing more early late nights. I'm going to be taking it on the road. So you guys are going to get introduced to a whole bunch of new, fun, great people who I know in the comedy world who are going to be stopping in to chat some comedy, politics, topical news. You name it. We kind of do it all. And that will do it for me.
Pretty awesome. Great training back over at the Jubera side this week. Keith taught an awesome bump sweep class Tuesday. Went back for some royal beatings throughout the week that we were working on some really cool scissor sweep aggressions, some scissor sweep and some omoplatas. So big shout out to the crews over there. And Raph, I found out Whit Barr, who is dating Ashley, who's a very fierce purple belt and fighting on the Fight to Win pro card, listens to this show, if you can believe that.
Ooh.
So heard me talking about Jubera, was like, oh, hey. He teaches and coaches jiu-jitsu over at Dark Horse Academy out here, so another place. There's tons of jiu-jitsu in this Colorado area. We love it, but he comes by all the time, so it's going to be fun to meet him. Wanted to give him a shout-out on the podcast.
Awesome.
And, 2016, 2017 Chiefs, I thought you really overperformed. It's not an easy thing to do it without a top-tier talent quarterback. They plugged a lot of holes. It was impressive stuff. I want to shout out the Chiefs season. A lot of fun, Raph. It was a ton.
Yes.
And that's going to do it for us here tonight at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Good night and good fight.
And go see the trailer.
Yeah. 100.